What's up, guys, and welcome back to Paint Bravely, the podcast where you can find a little bit of encouragement, discover new ways to make your hobby more fun, and most importantly, learn to paint bravely. Now, this week we're just going to have a little back and forth. We got a pretty fun topic today. We're going to see what Brent's drinking, of course, because that's become a thing. And of course, on top of all that, Brent, what have you been up to since we last talked?
I don't even know, Casey. I've been in a weird time warp. Things are happening, but I don't know. I haven't been painting that much, but it seems like I've been doing hobby, but I haven't been getting stuff done, you know? I don't know. Been in a weird time warp, but things are happening. I'm fully vaccinated now, so I was able to go to Panda Express at the mall food court and hang out there. I was able to go, just to all the local gas stations just to hang out and see what kind of spicy chili lemon chips they had.
Just to hang out.
Get the various off-brand gummy bears, gummy worms, gummy sharks. So I've been busy. I don't know if you need like a complete list of my activities, but stuff's happening here in Goobertown.
Generally, how we run down the list is literally run down the list. But yeah, that's fine. I get where you're coming from. It's been weird. Like I definitely agree. Like it's been getting warmer outside, and things seem to be opening up, and people are kind of like poking their heads outside, and just things are happening, and they're happening quickly.
Yeah.
So I get you. No, I get you.
Yeah, so, games are starting to be a possibility again. I keep kind of refreshing the website for my local game store to see if they're going to be changing policies anytime soon or, opening up for games again. And soon.
Yeah, actually, I have a story, but I just went to a local hobby shop, and they were setting up for the first time since lockdown for a game night. Like, I think it was Kings of War. Just like a big Kings of War night they were doing. So, yeah, pretty rad. And it felt weird because they're kind of like, yeah, is there anything I can help you with? We're really busy. Like, you are? What do you mean? Like, yeah, people are coming. They're coming. Like,
that's awesome. It's
a
problem you want to have. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I almost wanted to stick around, but I don't play Kings of War. So it was kind of like, yeah, I'll come back later.
I've actually got a pile of Kings of War on my desk right now. And
really?
Just out of reach, I have some Kings of War boxes. So
just out of course, save
perfect
those boxes
timing
to show on the camera.
Yeah, maybe I'll get them later. I have to like run off to admonish a cat or something. I'll grab the boxes then to show people that I really did have Kings of War boxes just off camera.
I mean, I believe you.
Yeah. So for those of you listening at home, Kings of War is by Mantic, I believe, and it is or Warlord Games. I think it's Mantic.
Now that you said it, now I'm confused, but I'm pretty sure it's the first one.
Oh, yeah. The more we talk around this in circles, the more confused we'll get. So it's either Mantic or Warlord. Pretty sure it's Mantic. And they, it's a plastic game, made out of polystyrene, same stuff as GW models. And it's a square-based game, rank and file. Kind of an alternative to Warhammer Fantasy. So, yeah, it was wonderful.
I checked, yeah, it is. Got it.
Wonderful.
They have some really cool models.
They do.
Their system is nice, too. They have that, like, multi-basing. That it's like, here's your flank right here, and it's all on the one big base. It sounds pretty cool. Still haven't tried it.
Yeah, Luke Geek Gaming has done some really great multi-basing things where, instead of having 20 troops of 4 ranks with 5 across, you can just have a base that's that size and have, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 20 troops on there, but have a lot of other details on that base too. And so Luke was putting like sweet little streams and stuff running through the bases, and instead of a 1x1 inch square like area to do something fun with the base, you all of a sudden have 4x5 or 5x5 or something. You can actually have some features on the base and make it something special. So,
Something I'm actually kind of looking forward to with the revitalization of the old world, that's coming back, supposedly in somewhat of a similar incarnation as it was, when it left. But something that I missed out on personally were movement trays, the nice square movement trays. And I always got jealous seeing really nice rank and file units where the movement tray had like the flocking on the edge, so it looked seamless, like they were actually standing on a piece of the battlefield. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of that. Yeah, if you don't know what a movement tray is, this is what things used to be put on models on square bases, and they were on a larger square base so that you could move them easier. I also find it ironic that movement trays are totally a thing for round bases, that people were like, they finally gave in, for Age of Sigmar. They're like, yeah, we still need them.
Yeah. Those ones are normally like a group of 5 models can move around together or something like that. And I imagine that is faster to move your troops around the battlefield. Absolutely. But the squares are nice because you can fit so many models into such a small area, which is good and bad. But if you take your time to paint up your 20 goblins really well, and then you put them on the battlefield and they're this tiny little square, and you need to go paint a lot more batches of 20.
Right.
but it's still a nice feeling to, all of this hobby, when you have like a mini that that you've put hours and hours into, and it's this tiny little thing that represents so much to you and looks so cool. That's awesome. But with square bases, you just kind of multiply that, because you have this now little rectangle that's 20 times as many hours and 20 times as much of your life invested in that little space. So
yeah. Man, it's so much smaller looking that way. It is ridiculous. Like I see a lot of auctions on eBay that are like, oh, here's a full army, and I'm looking at it like, that's not a full army. There's not enough. And it's like, no, there are like 80 guys on those 2 trays. Like, it's definitely a full army. Like, just the regular troops. Yes. The scale is a bit different than these days.
I mean, that was always harsh as like a middle schooler and high schooler with the available funds. And
yeah.
And, the sort of minimum unit size was often 20 figures. And they come in 2-man blisters, and get your 2 orc biggins in pewter, and then that cost your week's allowance or whatever, or a substantial portion of that lawn you just mowed, and now you're a tenth of the way towards getting a minimum unit size.
Yeah. I tend to try and shoot for small model count armies personally because of that, and maybe I'm just still stuck in that like feeling, but it's definitely a thing. Like, it was tough to get full units and have all this stuff. I have a nice like old school Eldar army, and almost all of my units are like 5 guys, and that's it. Sure. But I have a whole bunch of them. I got something from each thing, and it's like, well, the absolute minimum is 5. So I have a whole bunch of random stuff in 5s.
Well, for circle-based games, 5 looks okay. They spread out a little bit, and they can, take up a piece of terrain or a hill pretty well. But when you got squares, just a literal like one-dimensional line of that's 5 inches long, not doing a whole lot for you. You got to go buy some more goblins. But such is life. Yeah. But the Kings of War model, so I've got a whole bunch of skeletons here, and that box of plastic, I can't remember what I paid for it, but it was a unit of skeletons is a 40 skeleton box. So I think they might have also had a 20 option, but the packaging was, here's a unit of skeletons. A unit is 40 skeletons. You're gonna need these. You might want to just buy a couple boxes while you're at it.
Right. They just pre-package them in 2s for you. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a blister of 2 metal skeletons or sometimes 3 metal skeletons. It's
right.
appropriate sized a block, So,
Yeah. I mean, even like 20 skeletons looks pretty impressive.
yeah.
So 40 in a box? Yes, please.
Yes.
That's so
Yes.
much work.
Well, as I'm recording this is my upcoming project, and hopefully I've got some progress to show by the time this releases, but who knows?
I mean, if you take a whole month, I think after 28, or whatever days, you got some. I believe in you.
Should be all right.
Yeah.
We'll check back at the end of summer, and I'll let you know how my Kings of War skeletons are going.
I painted 5. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know you've been doing really well with the army projects you're working on. You've got your
Yeah. It's coming along pretty well, actually. Been working on a Death Guard army that it's mostly from eBay. I did buy some new models. Don't kill me over that, but got to fill out an army somehow. Yeah, I've gotten to the point where they're like all half painted. So I laid down the nice base coats, and then I got the chipping medium on, and I put on their like overcoat, I guess, and I chipped all the models, and they look really cool. So yeah, it's coming together. And this week I'm doing some like super quick, like 15 minutes a piece poxwalkers with contrast paints. Trying to make contrast paints look like not contrast paints. So I think they turned out pretty good. That's the video for next week. I actually I kind of split my stuff up this week. Like I painted poxwalkers, and then I was like, well, that's really not enough to make a video out of. So then I decided to go and visit all of the local hobby shops in my town in one day.
To get more poxwalkers?
No, I have like 40 poxwalkers. I don't need more. No, I was looking for some Death Guard models that I didn't have, because I was thinking like, well, I have all these models, and technically I have a full army. It's over 2,000 points, but then I was thinking like, well, yeah, I don't really have any options. It's kind of just straightforward, right? So I started thinking, well, maybe if I got some of this other stuff and kind of fill it out a little bit. And then, I think we all do that for our armies. We think, well, maybe this option, maybe I might end up taking this other option another time, because tactically that would be the correct move, even though it literally will never probably matter for most of us.
Well, like, you can do it for painting excuses also. Make the painting excuse instead of the tactical excuse.
Yeah. I'm gonna paint Nurgle, and slightly different than the last guy.
Or you just want to get out of the house and go to 5 different game stores. That's an excuse too.
That's pretty much what happened. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Kid went to sleep. I hopped in my sweet party van. I did a lot of filming from inside the van, so you get to see the inside of my van. I know a lot of people were very excited about that when I said that. So, yeah, I drove to, I have 4 shops in my town, actually, which is pretty nice for the size of town that I'm in. And I gotta say that only one of the stores was an actual disappointment, and it's probably the nicest store out of the bunch, but there's reasons for that. Like, customer service was crap, but
so it's physically nice. It's the nicest store with terrible customer service. I mean, what else do they have? Like,
well, so okay, so there are a couple of shops that are like, they're pretty small, they're just hobby shops, but they have a lot of Warhammer stuff. But they're like a comic book shop, also. There's one game store in town that has always been kind of the Friday night magic place for all the people who are, trying in this town. And they just last year, right before COVID, opened a gaming hall, like a very large gaming hall, so that they could run like, GQs and stuff, whatever. The magic qualifiers.
Sure, get the rankings, get the stats, get the Yeah. Regional certification. Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, it's a super, super nice gaming hall. Like they've got like tabards on the walls and it's painted nice and they have big tables all throughout the whole thing. They started getting into tabletop games like Warhammer. They started buying Warhammer stuff because of the size. But like they've always been the worst gaming store in town. Like nobody cares. Like unless you're there to play Magic, they don't care what you're there for. And like they sell all sorts of stuff. So I don't know what the deal is, but ever since I was younger, it was like that. And it was the only store that I went into over that day where literally not one employee even came up to me and asked me what I was doing. And I was like looking through their stock for a while. So, yeah. On the other hand, I went to a Warhammer store, and the manager at the Warhammer store like asked me what I was looking for, did a bunch of stuff to try and help me find those things, including calling other local hobby shops to see if they had that stuff.
Huh.
Yeah. And that's in that it's like it doesn't match up, right? The corporate Games Workshop store shouldn't care more about my hobby than the hobby shop that has stuff for me to buy there. Like, I'm willing to spend money. So I thought that was pretty interesting, but I made a whole video about it. There's a lot of driving sequences, a lot of drone shots and aerial footage of me driving around. So it's an interesting like vlog. Yeah, should be up by the time this. Yeah, it's up. It went up yesterday. As this podcast goes live. So yeah, it was good stuff.
Very good. I haven't been back to my local GW shop for a little while, but maybe I will soon.
You should.
Yeah, I'm part of the Nova Open Charitable Foundation Army Painting crew again. We've got a corn army this time, and so as part of the standardization process, I've got a list of Games Workshop paints that, of course, I don't own. So I need like Corn Berserker Red and Balthazar
you don't
Gold.
Have Corn
and,
Red? Come on.
All that garbage. But I need to take the time and do a comparison chart and see if I can get away with just buying like one red or something like that. Cause...
For Corn Red, Vallejo's, holy crap, is it Blood Red? Gory Red. Okay. It's very, very similar. Because of course I ran out of Corn Red doing my corn army.
Sorry, I didn't mean to invoke your internal comparison chart and do the conversions.
It just happens.
I'm happy to do my own conversions, but I appreciate the effort, Casey. Yeah. But yeah, no, I figure that once I finally do sit down and go through the list of standardized colors, that there'll probably be like one or two that I feel I need to go out and get and head on over to the GW store, see how they're doing today. Yeah.
Well, if anything, Corn Red is a really good color. So,
Okay.
Couldn't hurt.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Go out and get your $7 bottle of Corn Red that comes in the flippy top bottle. Yeah.
Yeah, the flippy top that I transferred.
Of course you did. Yeah, it's a really good paint once you thin it down and put it into dropper bottles. That's right.
Oh, man,
right.
So good. Yeah.
So speaking of dropper bottles, I got to do a cameo on Ninjon's channel. So he did a video where he was taking old GW paints and revitalizing them. And, he asked if I could do just a little segment for his intro. And so I got out all my old GW paints of the same vintage that John was working with. I got out all my media and thinners. I got out like actual good mixing devices, ultrasonicator, paint shaker, vortexer. I got out my hematite beads. I got out my BBs. I got out just all the stuff that John used to revitalize his paints. And I did a nice little intro for him. And then that guy, I don't want to call him any names here because we've got an informal working relationship, but that guy He gets his little editing program out, and he cuts old Brent into like 0.6 second fragments, and makes me look like an insane man. Insane, I tell you.
I mean, to be fair,
Mm-hmm.
to be honest, both Scott and John think you are insane.
Okay. All right. So he was just leaning into that, huh?
Oh,
I mean,
100%.
I guess I did provide him the ammunition to clip out little things like cell phone radiation and chemtrails. But still, you take that out of context, it sounds absolutely bonkers. But in context,
sounds like you're insane.
Maybe it made sense. I thought it made sense.
That's what they all say. Yeah. I also haven't seen this video yet,
right.
so I might have to take a look to see how insane they made you look. I may be overreaching a little, saying no, it's fine, but you know.
No, I was the villain in this video. I tell you that. I tell you that. I was the madman. The madman. Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have said gamma radiation with a crazy look in my eye while looking into the camera. Maybe that was a mistake.
Or maybe you should.
I at least should have had a kind of a second thoughts before I sent that off to a man with a platform. But yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
Worst comes to worst, people think that you're crazy, or you know. I mean, there are a handful of people that think you're a serial killer too. So, I mean, if you're gonna pick and choose,
I got a lot of those comments. Yeah. I did a cameo on Midwinter Minis as well for Guy, and I was holding up little bags and talking about putting body parts in bags. And,
exactly.
Man, the comment section took that the whole wrong way too. So, what are you gonna do?
Exactly. It's whatever. It's fine. It's all right.
So, I don't know. That's what I've been up to.
Yeah.
I've got more of those old GW paints than I have the new ones. That's for sure. That one collaboration you and I did way back when, you made me get some Incubi Darkness, which I don't regret. That's a good color. I'm happy with that.
That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
I think I got the old Cabalite and Sybarite green while I was at it. Why not? Big spender.
Yeah. Why not? Yeah.
But I do not have that corn red. I'm not sure if I'm ready.
I mean, when you started painting again, or I guess the last time that you started getting into it, did you not just buy GW paints, or did you just buy like the Army Painter set?
Yeah, I bought the mega set of Army Painter that's behind me, and I ordered it online, and it came in the mail, and so that's 126 paints or something like that, including a bunch of washes and technical paint. And of course, Army Painter has that thing where they separate out. The pigment separates from the medium really easily, and so when that came fresh out of the mail, and I started to drop out stuff, and just clear liquid was coming out of those vials, and I'd spent like a couple $100 on that set. I almost lost it. Like
I bet, yeah.
Maybe that's the moment I snapped. I don't know, but I did find that you can shake those up and make them work decent. But
yeah. I mean, if you have a vortexer, like that's
why I bought a vortexer.
Yeah. So hang on. Let's gonna back up for a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stay with me. How much was the paint set?
I think it might have been $300. I think it might have been $300.
Okay, and granted, there are a ton of paints in that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're probably always going to be ahead of whatever GW prices are with that amount of paint. Then you also, how much was the vortexer?
Maybe like 120 or so.
Okay, so
I am well okay with that purchase though. It's like a piece of scientific equipment with a sweet repaint on it. Like it's the hot rod of scientific vortexers. It's
for sure.
Oh man, I was trying to remember the actual company and model name of that, but it's like a classic model of vortexer that's been in labs since the 1980s, and the guy at Typhoon paint mixers or whatever.
Right, like the dude refurbishing them and stuff.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
I still haven't taken the plunge on one of those, and I've been meaning to forever. You know, it's coming. I'll get there. My point was, though, you know, for taking us back a little, was that spending $300 on a paint set and getting a vortexer, like the GW, it's like the same price. Like it kind of comes out in a wash, right?
My only regret is not getting Vallejo. Vallejo and a vortexer.
Good point. Okay, moving on.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a different story. So I did,
got the one
like,
kit.
over the next year or so past that, eventually I got an airbrush, and eventually then I started looking at the Vallejo airbrush paints.
Sure.
And I bought like a 72 paint set from Vallejo.
Really?
And of Model Air. Yeah, Model
sure.
Air, that line. And I did not realize Vallejo has Game Air, or Vallejo has their game color, Vallejo has their model color, Game Air, model color, Game Air, Model Air, yeah. And the model color or Model Air line is for people who paint German tanks and Russian tanks and Irish tanks and North African tanks.
Country tanks, yes.
From 1941 through 43, but 44 is a different color. And,
right.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I spent, I want to say it was like $200 on this set of 72 paints from Vallejo Model Air. And,
I mean, okay, Model Air, sure.
And I'm so excited. I'm like, all right, I'm finally going to have like a good airbrush teal. I'm going to have a good airbrush orange. I open it up. It's like 20 grays, 20 greens, 25 browns, and like blue, yellow, red. And that was another bad day. So kept saving up my hobby bucks, and eventually I did buy the Model Air set. And in that one, there was probably like 20 colors I actually like, but
yeah.
You know, that's the thing. We all wind up with these collections of things that are maybe not the best, but as we go, we slowly find things that we like. And in all of those purchases, I really like that vortexer. I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
And strong tone, vortexer, and a strong tone.
And strong tone, of course. Yeah, you gotta love that strong tone.
Yeah.
Oh man, just because we're on the Game Air Model Air, Burnt Umber from Model Air is amazing.
Okay,
Just saying, it's really good stuff.
Well, I'll check out. I did my organization system with plastic bags, and so I've got just a plastic bag of Model Air. Like, I think I actually divided them into, this is all the stupid browns, this is all the stupid like greens, not even like greens, this is all of the olive greens, and there's like greens. 20 of them. Yeah.
Olive drab, olive garb, dirty
olive. Olive khaki,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the Model Air stuff feels a little bit more like pigmented, works a little bit better, whereas the Game Air stuff is super hit and miss for me. Yeah, like some of it works, and some of it doesn't. Like, you have to go super opaque to get the color that's in the bottle, and out of an airbrush, you're literally not going opaque almost ever. You know, unless you're really being heavy-handed about it, or you do 1,000 layers. So it's kind of, I don't know.
Hey, live and learn.
Yeah.
Live and learn.
Yeah. I don't think there's actually like a straight-up airbrush line of paints that was like designed for the airbrush that all work great, you know? I don't think I've found that yet.
Well, no, as I've gotten to learn more and more about paints, the episode I did on paint pigments, the science of paint pigments, that one I actually learned a lot from. And I mean, when it comes right down to it, some colors you can get pigments that have good opacity and good coverage, and put down a layer of that's vibrant really quickly, or with just a couple layers make it look good. And for some pigments, that's just not an option. Yeah. yellow has a reputation of going on really transparent, and a lot of that's just because of what pigments are available for yellow.
Yeah.
They're all pretty transparent, and whereas like titanium white actually has really good opacity. Carbon black has pretty good opacity, and there's some blues, some greens that have good opacity, but yeah, and so when you get to the point of really thinning down a paint to put it through an airbrush, some of them are going to be quite transparent, and that's just the way it goes. And in that case, I like putting inks through the airbrush better anyway.
I was just about to say, segue into awesome hot tip. The way to get around that issue is inks. Yeah, inks pretty much make up for those difficulty issues, like those areas, right? Those specific colors, like yellow in particular. Like, oh man, yellow is such a pain. Well, okay, paint it white and then get the best yellow and paint that over, and it's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No worries.
That's the way. So, yeah, the summation of this side story here is that I have a lot of airbrush paints, and I only use Stynylrez primer plus inks. Like that's what,
right.
Like
that's seriously what happened.
I have 144 airbrush paints that I think I used all the yellow on those goblins a couple of years ago, and that's like all I've used.
Oh man.
Well, live and learn, like I say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what else is new with you?
Oh man. I just got in the mail all the battle foam for my Cursed City box. So I decided, I wanted to do it up nice, because I do, like I said, plan on playing this game. That also being said, I've only assembled 2 models from that box, but hey, it's a start. I want to get everything into a nice place, because I find that having an organized board game makes me actually want to play it more, because it's like I know where everything is. I can just pull it right out. Everything has its place, right? And Battle Foam, not that this is sponsored or they're sponsoring any of my upcoming videos, although they should.
Light touch, Casey. Light touch. Yeah.
Yeah, like they for it's like $30 fits in the actual game box, and it holds all of the stuff.
Are there cutouts for each model, or
for every single model has a custom cutout.
tailored, unique shaped cutouts?
Yes,
or
actually, I'm just gonna stretch.
Okay, you do that.
Here.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. Of course, if you put that in the box, there's not room for your chits and stuff, is there? Or is there?
Everything.
Oh my goodness.
Everything fits in the box.
That does not compute, but that's awesome.
So this is actually the top of the box. I just threw these in because I haven't. All the sprues are still in the other box. I haven't put the models together, but you can see like all the cutouts, the dice fit, all the cards fit in their own little spot. This is like 30. I think the invoice is like $36 total.
Nice.
And it fits in the original box. So yeah, like that's something that I've been wanting to do for a lot of my board games, and I decided to take the plunge on this one just because, I don't know. I just saw it and it was like $30, so I bought it.
That's actually a really nice luxury. If we're gonna do like a Christmas shopping episode again this year, and we like put it out sufficiently before the holidays, I think we should put the list of custom foam or custom board game organizers on that list.
Well, like I was perusing their website after the fact, right, and like looking up other board games, and I was surprised that they had a lot of games that I have, and I'm just like, man, I could really use some of this stuff. Editor Matt, when him and I first started playing Age of Sigmar, we both bought the Start Collecting boxes, or not Start Collecting, this was before they even existed, the starter box for Age of Sigmar, the first one. Like Matt is the kind of person that's like, no, I'm going to have all the models, and they're going to be perfect, and they're going to be painted, and then they're all going to be in individually custom laser etched foam, so he's got the whole like starter box in battle foam like this. That was like first thing. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting. And I don't know why I haven't like looked into it since then. That was 5 years ago. But this popped up somewhere on one of my feeds, and I was like, oh, yeah, like, I'm definitely going to look into this. So, I don't know, I got it today in the mail, so I'm kind of excited about it, but it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, I actually think Editor Matt is a really cool guy, and I would never do anything to disparage any of his interests or ticks. Yeah.
What? Why would you say that?
No. I need to reaffirm that sometimes, that
because you don't know what he's typing.
I would never play a cruel trick on Editor Matt. That's all I'm saying. Never. But yeah, no, the like custom organization, man, that's got to really scratch an itch. That's got to be so satisfying. Like everything having its place, that sparks joy.
Yeah.
That's a really nice thing.
Yeah, I mean, even just looking at the foam, it's like, yeah, that's going to feel pretty good, putting every piece away. I don't know.
That's actually motivational, too, because right now you have two assembled but unpainted minis that you've kind of... They're sitting in their foam right now, though, right?
They're not, because I literally, like, I'm not even kidding, like, literally just put this in, like, an hour ago.
Okay.
Like the box has been on my porch all day. And I finally was like, oh yeah, I got a package. And I went to go get it. I should
see the sun today. Yeah, no, I got you.
So yeah, it's right there. The two models I have assembled they're put together, the mold lines have been cleaned off. I put sand around the base, and then I primed them black. So they're primed, right? They're like based and primed. Everything that I'm going to do with them, I don't know, it depends. Like I've been thinking about, taking advantage of this vlog style video that I've been doing lately and going, okay, well, maybe I can paint Curse City in like a day. And by that, I mean like some kind of hyper stylized, like how people have been doing the box art where it's like OSL from a side, like that red harsh lighting,
Oh yeah. Just paint them
cool
like stone. Paint them like stone and put some moss on there.
Yeah. Totally could do that.
Broadsword Wargaming, they tried to paint that in a day.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah. Ollie has a helper, and the two of them combined did not get it done.
They did not. Well, challenge accepted. Yeah. I probably won't get it done either.
But no, I'm thinking about that. The foam with the cutouts where each mini has its place. That's reminding me of some games of old with kind of like achievements or like Zelda when you get the different keys that, like, and rupees and Triforce icons and yeah, there's like the page of items that you're supposed to collect, and there's like the cutouts for where you're. Yeah, man, I'm forgetting everything, but you got your little cutout for your.
So you got all like the crystals or the what is it like the temples. They each had like
they had a thing.
There's like a water temple. It had like a blue
key or
crystalline. Man,
I don't know, but there was definitely a page in the menu where you could kind of see your progression through the game, and there were these cutouts of like badges or keys or something that you needed to collect. Yeah. And every time you finished a mission, you like and then like the item dropped into its socket. That's basically what you have in your Cursed City box right now.
Yeah.
You got like, and man, the feeling of putting a completed mini in the socket that is perfectly carved for it.
I'm excited.
That's one way to live a life right there.
Yeah.
The sense of accomplishment that comes with socketing all that minis into their battle foam.
Something that always bothered me with Ocarina of Time though is that Triforce slot you can't fill. And I remember back in the early days of the internet, 56K forums with minimal imagery. There were like rumors that you could get the Triforce in Ocarina of Time and it would fit in that slot. I don't think that's true. I don't think that's ever been proven. I haven't looked into it as an adult, but like that was always the thing with that, like what you're talking about. It's like, here's everything filled out, everything in the game except for the Triforce is not there.
Right. Now, of course, if you're not getting these Legends of Zelda references, we could go back to TIE Fighter or X-Wing versus TIE Fighter. And there you go to your campaign medals, and those fill in on the page.
Yes, they do.
You DOS people know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
I mean, if you were going to make a reference, like, it should have been not older than Ocarina of Time. Okay, I made a Wayne's World reference in a video a couple months ago or something, and like I finally got a comment about it, and they're like, dude, sweet Wayne's World reference. Nobody else. Literally, no one else. 400 comments on that video. Nothing. One person. And I'm thinking, like, I'm too old. Like, people don't get a Wayne's World reference anymore.
Yeah. I mean, I think the target demographic for a lot of at least Warhammer stuff is 18 to 34 males, and
yeah,
and they haven't all seen Wayne's World. That's the thing.
That's a huge bummer.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't all played Ocarina of Time.
Yeah, haven't all played TIE Fighter as it was meant to be.
Know what DOS is.
Right.
Don't know what a command prompt is.
No.
That's fine.
No. I feel like most games now have achievement pages, though. And
they do. Yeah, they do.
A lot of them probably have the silhouettes of the achievements you're supposed to get, and then you lock them into place and get a little musical sting.
Right.
You should actually do that. You should get some sort of Pavlovian response, like a reward system for yourself, where every time you put in a painted mini into the foam, you get
man.
Like the theme song for Paint Bravely starts playing, and yeah. That's
a really interesting. I wonder if that would be a fun experiment to see. Like, is that going to be motivating or somehow demoralizing? I don't know which. Like, something bad's going to happen.
Idea. Maybe there's got to be a simple app on your phone where you just press a button and it plays like a 5-second like reward song sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
And so every time you do something good and you complete a task, you play that for yourself.
Yeah, it'd be the opening, going back to the Ocarina of Time, it's the opening of a treasure chest. That whole sequence.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my god.
So I did my taxes, and
oh boy.
Look, all I wanted to do here, just brag about, I was able to write off some props, plastic models.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's a little achievement for myself. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Have you ever filed as an entrepreneur?
I don't even know the specifics of how I filed. I was just whipping through TurboTax like pretty fast. Oh, yeah. I think I was well within bounds. I think I was pretty conservative on the claims I was making.
Yeah.
It may sound wild to say that I claimed Warhammer miniatures on my tax returns, but I think it was actually well within bounds. But that seems like a slippery slope. Like, I can see myself like escalating the.
Last year when I filed, because I haven't filed this year, because we usually offset ours because we, own a business anyway. So, whole other thing. But last year when I filed, I wrote off every single thing I bought on eBay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. All the models. All of it.
Man.
Yeah.
What a time to be alive.
I know, right?
What a life achievement. Yeah.
It feels good. It felt good at the time. I was like, we can actually do this, right? Yes, we can actually do this. Okay. Because I'm going to start adding it up. It wasn't $200 like I said it was. It was a lot more than that.
The whole idea of submitting ridiculous things on official government forms tickles me. I think I mentioned the time where I had to register my canoe to
Yes.
like, the state.
Yes.
And like they asked for a vessel name for my canoe, and it was the Viking Lincoln 420, which is a strong name.
That's a strong name for a canoe.
Yeah. I want to say that I also like changed it every couple of years. Like I feel like it might have been the Dragon Sex one year, which is also a strong name.
That's very strong. Jeez.
Yeah. I actually thought about stenciling. I thought about stenciling Dragon Sex onto my canoe, but I ended up like selling it back on Craigslist a few years later. That probably avoided like a kind of awkward moment with a dad and his son. So
okay, with dad and his son. I mean, either avoiding awkward moment or you lost $1,000 because you didn't have the name on there.
No, well, man, used canoes on Craigslist are wonderful. Like that canoe I bought for $500 on Craigslist. The guy delivered it right to where I was, and then like 6 or 7 years later, I sold it for I think 400. But if I had tried, I could have got 500 for it.
Probably, yeah. But, like it's a rental fee. It's $100. It's fine.
Yeah. And he came and picked it up. So yeah, whatever.
I bought a canoe for my wife for her birthday like 10 years ago. And I went to the dude's house, right? And he didn't even live that far away from me. And I was like, I think he put it up on Craigslist for like 300 or 350 or something. I was like, dude, I got $200 cash. I'll literally like take it away. It's fine. I'll do this right now. He's like, okay, let me think about it. Let me talk to my wife. He goes, talks to his wife. He like goes inside, whatever, a few minutes, comes back out. It's like, okay, we can do that. But you don't get any of the flotation devices or the oars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I bought it for $200 and it's a sweet canoe. I just thought it was funny. It's like he's like denying me the oars for the canoe. You know, over $100 or whatever. I don't know. They were like cheap plastic oars.
Well, in that case, that's kind of funny because then he's stuck with this stuff that he has no use for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's getting rid of his only, and I knew it was his only canoe. He's like, I don't have room for this canoe in my garage. And he's got these like flotation pillows and the oars that are sitting in the boat. And he's like, but you're not getting those. And I said, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Like, good luck selling oars and flotation devices.
Yeah. I do not enjoy the experience of in-person haggling for like Craigslist stuff.
Really? Okay.
I've become very much of the opinion, like, if you said you were interested and you drove out to come pick it up, we've agreed on a price. Like, the price was listed in the listing. If you have driven out there and like, if you're here, you've agreed on a price.
A little bit.
This is America. The prices are what they're listed as. Like, you don't.
That's literally the opposite, but okay. Like that. Isn't it America to be like, that is not the price?
I know the culture of Craigslist. I understand that, but will you take 80 for it? Like, did I list it for 80? Like,
I mean, I do feel like it depends on what it is. You told me you drove 40
minutes to be here. You're trying to like,
like in that case. Yeah.
The posting was for $100. You drove 40 minutes to be here, and you're trying to haggle down to 80. Like, no.
Yeah. I mean, I think if it's one of those things where, you know, it's, I don't know, it's like, it seems fair because like the dude had it at a yard sale like the weekend before, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you go to a yard sale, someone's gonna try and be like, I'll give you a quarter for that $200 boat. I'm sure someone said that. You know, it's like it's part of the game. I don't know, like cars, boats, bigger items like that. Like, if it's over $100, I'll definitely try and haggle with somebody. You know, like I just got that like bassinet thing for like $50 less because of that. It's like, no, it's not that price. It's this price. And they're like, okay, it's that price.
Well, I'm not saying you're wrong, but a lot of times on Craigslist, you're never going to see that person again. And,
exactly.
And okay. So yeah, the you know, one of the shows I like on YouTube is Linus Tech Tips has that Scavenger Wars where they build a PC off of, you know, Craigslist or whatever, and they
like finding parts and putting them.
Yeah, so it's like a series of YouTube videos where they spend 3 days tracking down computer parts and building the PC, and that they run some benchmarks or play some games or something and see like which team of 2 scavengers can build the best PC from parts in, I don't know, whatever part of Canada those guys live in. But the sad part about that show is that it always comes down to trying to drive really hard deals on Craigslist, which I find, I don't know, I just find it to be
who is better at it kind of thing.
Like the ugliest part of human interaction. Like
it can be, yes. I mean, okay, like I'm making myself sound like some hard ass, haggler, and I don't really go that hard.
You play
on
the
it.
game. Like previously on this podcast, I've sort of defended scalpers. Like that's
oh, that episode we absolutely did. People are pissed at that. Yeah,
right.
It's fine.
That's part of the game, and if you enjoy that part of the game, cool. I'm just like, if someone comes to my house to pick up something because they said they wanted to buy a thing that I listed a price on, and then they say, hey, would you like to accept less money than we already agreed upon for this item that I've already driven all the way out here to get?
When you say
no.
I mean, if it's me selling something, then yeah, the answer is no.
Yeah.
Like, no. It's what I said it was. Okay.
Yeah, but that scavenger wars, they're always like, all right, that's the guy we need to meet. He's got the 16 gigabyte RAM stick, and I think I can get it for $20. He had it listed.
Okay.
He said we were getting it for $30. I can get it for $20 or whatever.
Probably.
And
see, and that feels.
And I was like, oh no, that's the
anxiety
bullying a nerd into taking less Canadian dollars for their computer parts. Yeah. But,
yeah, I feel you.
What else? We're almost through our updates here. So I've got my friend Gordon coming to visit the microphone, and so this is a good time to mention that now that I'm vaccinated, I made it back to my co-working space. A couple miles away, there's a co-working space that I go to, and good way to get out of the house and do some computer work. But they also have a little recording booth there, and so this week for the first time, I went in there. I took my microphone and just did a voiceover for one of my videos in there. And it's just a small little padded room and with no cats. And I was able to get some pretty good audio, which actually matched surprisingly well with this audio, except less cats and
less outside garbage.
Yeah, I was kind of worried that the sound would be entirely different because they've actually got their own mixer there and stuff. And so
you never know with that for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I was thinking I'd have to do all kinds of post processing or I don't even know the words for it. I'd have to get some Pro Tools out and adjust some levels. And
I mean, as far as like most of the sound is coming through your mic, like preamps in the actual mixer might change it. Like if you have invested in good preamps or different preamps that drive that sound, but for the most part, like especially with the mics that we have, like the mic I'm using, the mic you're using aren't different. They used to be different in this podcast, but I bet you no one actually noticed listening.
Right now they are different because I forgot to change them. Yes. Okay. All right.
Yes. I'm saying they're different microphones, but I bet you no one noticed. That's my point.
It doesn't matter. Well, we have different voices too. It's
true.
The jarring thing is when you go from like a talking head segment in a video to a voiceover, and all of a sudden the sound is different because you're recording on a different day, you're a different distance away from the microphone, what have you. And I was worried that this was, different day, different location, different electricals,
Right,
and, different room and all that stuff, but it actually worked out all right. So
sweet. All right.
This is less important for everybody else, but for the straight voiceover parts, there's going to be less random cat scratching and purring in the background. But on this podcast, it's going to be the same as it ever was.
Perfect.
Don't you worry about that.
Don't change a thing.
No, I wouldn't dream of it.
You shouldn't.
No.
I mean, the more cats on this podcast, the better it does, obviously. Like,
sometimes that is the case. I just moved Gordon out of the way. I should have held him in front of the camera for a few moments there. That would have been the better move.
Exactly.
Pull the thumbnail. Yeah. pull some sweet emotes later on. Yeah.
That's the thing I look forward to. I don't know. Maybe we should talk about that at some point.
I'll get the sweet Discord emotes out of weird faces and weird cat faces. But
well, okay, I have a confession slightly. The thumbnails, I guess the YouTube thumbnails. Yeah, I'm designing them specifically so they can be ripped as. Yeah, that's my goal at this point. Like I have no other reason. No other reason.
I forgive you. Yeah.
Thank you. It's just hilarious to see them floating all over Discord. Pictures of Brent doing all sorts of things.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. What else do we got here?
I was going to mention, just because you mentioned the microphone thing, I bought some new I bought a new lav mic. I got the Rode.
Ooh.
I don't even know what they're called. They're like the little squares. That clip on, and they're wireless, and it's just got a sweet mic, and it's got an output for a little lav mic that you want, and like I've been using that a lot lately and been very happy with that. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, you've been doing the vlog style videos, and so you can like walk around a little bit more, and
yeah.
You've had some shots where you're like standing up various distances away from your hobby desk and still talking and sounding good. So
yeah, which
all
is
these
new
little
for me.
things yeah, I've got here's my microphone. It's attached to my desk, and so I am frequently at my desk and talking. But now I can also be at the co-working space and talking. And
so good.
Going there late at night when there's fewer noises. And yeah.
Heck yeah.
Do those sweet voiceovers.
Just picking up a cat, because you might as well pick up a cat. If you cannot see this cat, I would recommend heading to youtube.com/paintbravely, the podcast, where you can also leave us comments, like the video, that kind of thing. But also see wonderful cats on video, because that's like 90% of this podcast, or else I don't know what we're doing here.
Yeah, and if you're tired of this cat, you can download Paint Bravely, the podcast, onto your favorite podcasting app on your cell phone.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, Casey, you know with all this purring going on that you need to fill space, because this cat is not going to shut up for like 5 minutes. Yeah, I
think that's fine. All right, well, I got a hot tip coming in hot. All right. So this week, I thought I'd go pretty straightforward, but I'm thinking there's a lot of people don't really know about this, but it's how to make an oil wash. Because something that
have we not done this already?
I don't think so.
Or is this going to be like how to make a good oil wash?
I mean, this is how to make an actual oil wash.
Okay,
I don't know. Like there are ways to do it. You can go buy like Tamiya panel liner, and that works really well. As kind of an oil wash, but it's not really oil. It's oil based, but it's enamel, so it's a little bit different. To make to make an actual oil wash, you get yourself like a nice Winsor & Newton oil color. You spend a good amount of money on that bottle, like $7-8, because it's gonna last you your entirety in the hobby. But higher quality is a little bit better. The pigments seem to stick together in the emulsion that we're going to talk about. You also want to buy some odorless mineral spirits. Usually a smallish bottle will cost you about $5. So you're talking like $12-13 for the whole thing. And it's going to last you probably the entire time you're in the hobby, And what you basically do is you put a little dab of oil paint in a tray, and then you pour in some mineral spirits and you start mixing, and you kind of test how thick that is. You want to make sure it's nice and liquidy, but you test it, check it to see how it flows. You don't want it to be too thick because you're really looking for some capillary action with that oil wash to get in those crevices and just kind of the oil wash just seeks out those crevices. The surface tension's super low, so it just kind of rolls through those recesses. And that's essentially how you do it. Those or odorless mineral spirits and a little dab of nice oil paints, and get yourself an oil wash. You can do any color you want too, and it's really, really useful. Yeah.
So something that I need to test out on this is the difference between hardware mineral spirits, odorless mineral spirits, and like artist grade. Yeah. Feel like there might be a slight difference in the molecular weight or solubility or something, because every time I do this, I get weird sediments of the pigments in places where I did not put them. And I'm not sure if I'm doing something wrong, or I'm using the wrong paints, or I'm using the wrong mineral spirits. Did you say mineral oil or mineral spirits? Mineral
spirits. Yeah. Okay. Mineral oil is different.
Oh, I know. No, I've got a funny story from grad school where we had this one undergraduate. So I was a graduate student. We had like undergraduate students working in the lab, and there was this one guy brilliant guy. He was going to go on to do great things, but he just kind of talks slow, and we're always like, okay, Zach, hurry it up.
Poor Zach.
And so he's like, come in and be like, so I'm heating up the oil bath to warm up a chemical, and we always like when he does this, because he starts every sentence with so, and we're like, okay, is your lab partner breathing? Okay, just tell us like
right,
like,
get to the important part first.
If someone needs to be resuscitated, please start with that. Like, yes. He comes in, he's like, okay, we need to. He had to tell us something about what was going on in lab. He had a question about what was going on in lab. We needed like, okay, is your lab partner breathing? Okay, all right, what's going on, Zach? So I'm heating up the mineral oil, and it's mineral oil, right? Mineral oil? Yeah, 'cause it's smoking, and so in the fume hood, he had it's like a electric resistor that heats up the oil, and it's if you want to heat something up higher than what you can do with a water bath, you use an oil bath, because you can get up to 150 degrees Celsius or something like that, and heat it up at whatever temperature you want. And mineral oil has a very different like ignition point than mineral spirits does.
The flash point is much different.
And so it just took him forever to be like, yeah, I'm heating up mineral spirits to unreasonable temperatures instead of mineral oil. And we go up there, and it was indeed smoking. But
I'm surprised it did not catch on fire. Like
that's a different story. Yeah. I caused far more accidents in that lab than anyone else did. But
it's even better. You can't even hold it to him. You're just like, it's fine. Just you're fine.
Like, I don't know, we were talking about some other thing, and this undergrad's like, so heating up the mineral oil? Man. Okay. Actually, I'm telling that wrong, because like we actually sent him away the first time he asked us that question. We were like, yeah, Zach, it's fine, go
right,
because he got to like, I'm heating up the mineral, and we're like, yeah, it's good, yeah, right, you heat up the mineral oil, good, go, and
oh no,
he'd poured mineral spirits into the heating tank, but. No, I'm quite well aware that mineral oil and mineral spirits are not the same thing, but it's mineral spirits that we use for making washes.
That is correct. Yes, mineral spirits.
Because those will actually evaporate eventually. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, that mineral oil
you'll have an oily mini for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I don't know. That might take a minute. I mean, obviously that the oils do dry. That's the point of oil paints. They do dry eventually, right? Although I can addendum hot tip. If you are using oil paints to paint your minis, grab a piece of cardboard and put your oil paints on the cardboard as your palette, because the cardboard will suck up the mineral oils and make your paints a little bit easier to work with, and they will dry faster. So, just throwing that out there. But yeah, mineral spirits, definitely. And that's also the same stuff, obviously, that after you let it sit for a few minutes, so like 5-10 minutes, then you come back and you can clean off any mistakes. It's amazing. I love it. I don't know what I would do without oil washes, honestly. Like, I use them almost in every single project. Yeah.
No, they clearly have gained popularity in the last couple of years in our hobby.
That's true.
And maybe if I buy the art mineral spirits instead of the hardware store mineral spirits, I want to give that a try, because I have tried using like, more expensive oil paints that theoretically have the finer pigment grain and all that stuff.
It depends on the color that you're buying too, though. Like even in the same color, like if you buy like oil black, like lamp black or carbon black, like they're different enough. And I can't remember. One of them does the thing you're talking about. I think it's lamp black. Like separates funny. So
this might have to be one of my crazy experiments one of these days. Definitely. Just get a bunch of test models and actually this might be a good idea, because I've just been really frustrated with I've had really frustrating experiences with oil washes where I put them on and the like dark liquid goes deep into the cracks and looks amazing, and then when it dries there's just this
like haze.
this high water mark of the pigment all dried in weird clumps, not in the crevice, like just outside the crevice. And
interesting. Yeah,
I think I've complained about it before, but it's I definitely spent several projects where I was trying to get oil washes down and got some nice effects, but also they did not look anywhere near as nice when they dried as when the mineral spirits were wet. And that was kind of frustrating for me. And so I moved away and kept on using my strong tone as I like to do.
Yeah. I mean, off the top of my head, I would say that you're probably just going too thin with it. You just need to go a little bit. I mean, you got to go like pretty thick, because like, when you go back to clean it off, like you're taking away everything except for what's in those recesses, right? Or that's the idea. So like, if it's thick, it's going to cover that area. Then once it's left behind, it's going to be a pretty strong line. On the other hand, you might try a panel liner, like the Tamiya panel liner. You might actually like the way that acts better than an oil wash. Maybe I should,
because I was using it more for like automatic panel lining, automatic black lining, essentially. Because when it's wet, it looks really good. Like you touch the tip of your oil wash into one of those crevices and it just fills up and moves around the elbow. And
you want to talk about satisfying elements in this hobby, like that's one of the most satisfying things.
It really is. But then when it dries, for me, like it's no longer in the crease. It's like
right. It's just spread out funny on the shoulder,
which is the opposite of satisfying. So
yeah.
I'll figure it out though. I'll commence the testing, and we'll get the mineral spirits. We'll get Zach back out here to run some more experiments for me. No, he's a successful scientist now.
I'm sure
he's needed where he is, but
yeah, doing some top secret, something way more important than whatever we're doing.
Well, I don't think it's top secret. It's just I normally stopped listening to him after his first couple of and then I'd stop listening. Yeah. I don't think it's top secret. I think he's doing excellent work.
It's top secret, because if he starts talking about something, they'd be like, you're fine, Zach. It's fine.
Yeah. Mineral oil. Go, Zach. Go.
Yeah. Aliens. That's whatever, dude. Like, didn't you have to get there?
Your lab partner still breathing? Okay, good. Yeah, mineral spirits. Go, mineral oil. Yeah, go.
Yeah. Well, speaking of like skills that you had at one point or another, why don't we hit up our main topic for today?
Let's do it.
All right. So this is actually from you. So I'm going to let you take the main point on this and start us off. I just wanted to throw out that badass segue. That's all.
No, that was a great segue. So we were just talking about the ways our experience in other aspects of life actually assist us where we are right now. With a little bit more thought, I could have conclusively said that mineral spirits is absolutely the thing you want to buy, and mineral oil will give you an oily model for all of eternity.
You just never got the answer, that's all. From Zach.
Yeah, so here's the sort of main topic for today. We'll have Casey or Matt maybe craft this into a little title for the episode and see where it goes. But this is from Cottage Crab, aka Dave, and it has to do with transferable skills. So, okay. So by trade, I'm a special ed teacher, and one of the techniques we use when we're training someone with learning disabilities is something called skill repurposing. So just a fancy way of saying that we borrow techniques from one skill to grow another. And then I got to thinking, hey, this is what we do in miniature painting. So, this listener is also trained as a meat cutter, carpenter, and chef. And so some of those can kind of carry over into the hobby, from kitchen skills, woodshop skills, all that stuff. And also a hunter. So the technique used to hone accuracy with the bow or rifle, stabilization techniques can also be applied to holding a brush, making sure your arms are on a stable place, bracing, keeping things relatively close to the body. So there's a lot of skill repurposing there. And if I were writing a resume, I'd call it transferable skills maybe, but I get it. And the kind of question is, do we think that's how this hobby works? And yes.
Yes,
yes,
100%.
absolutely.
Yes.
It's actually one of the things I think is most fascinating is to learn, where people are coming from, what skills they have developed in other aspects of their life, and what that helps them do in the hobby of mini painting. And, those, the example of getting accuracy with a rifle or with a bow and transferring that to bracing upright and painting accurately, that's fascinating, and it makes a lot of sense too.
Yeah. Well, I think there's just a lot of things that we take for granted, skills that we have or that we've learned that do just transfer straight over. It's like if you have ever used an air compressor, then you're probably going to know how an airbrush kind of works, like how the whole system is supposed to be put together, right? Like, oh, well, I've used a bunch of power tools, air tools. Well, just hook up your airbrush. It's the same thing. Now you've got that kind of innate built-in thing. So, yeah.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, we could come at this from all sides, but I was airbrushing the other day, and I was actually changing the PSI in my airbrush, which I almost never do. Like I found that 30 PSI was pretty good, and then I was just, there's so many other variables and what's going on that I'm just seems to work, I'm going to leave it there. And so for a couple of years, I just left my airbrush dialed in at 30 PSI, and I messed around a little bit with, thinning the paints and how I'm spraying and, a bunch of other things, but just wasn't even going to mess with that variable. But I started playing with PSI the other day, and I realized that, my experience with air compressors and gas regulators was actually helping me out. Just even little things like when you're messing with a gas regulator and you increase the PSI, the pressure gauge immediately responds. The pressure gauge immediately cranks up. But if you lower the pressure, there's still the same amount of gas in the regulator. So you have to bleed it out until the needle drops to where you've actually set the pressure.
Yeah.
And just a little thing, but because of previous experience that we've had, we know that if you lower pressure, you got to bleed out some of the gas that's in the regulator so that you can see where the needle falls to and stays stable at. Little stuff like that can add up. And in this hobby there is so much stuff to learn, but don't be afraid. You already know a lot of it already, and you probably have some unique advantages to someone else.
I mean, if you've taken art classes in high school or even better in college, all of those things are applicable, like in almost every single way.
All of them. Yeah.
Like I mean, it like this goes a little beyond for me, just because we're like, you and I are adding this kind of YouTube element into it. But I was in school for graphic communications, graphic design. Both my wife and I were. She actually graduated. I got to like the last class and then literally just stopped going. But it's a whole story. Like 3 credits shy of a degree. But anyways, I digress. All of the stuff that I learned in that program and all of the art classes and the extra things that I had to do in order to get to the end of that degree are being used almost constantly. That I've been using those skills constantly since I've had them to do almost everything in my life. Like, I've been in a band for 16 years, and that's a whole other set of skills that have then lent themselves to doing this stuff. We're talking microphones earlier, preamps and boards, sound booths, like recording stuff, video editing, like all of these things. It's like I did one time or another in some class or another in college and have now all come together as one. And I am where I am right now. And it's kind of incredible the amount of things that you learn over the years that then are very applicable to this hobby specifically. And weirdly, like, not to other hobbies, but to this hobby. It's
sure
uncanny sometimes how much of the things that I've done over my life that have just like gotten to this point, and it makes so much sense.
It's all leading up to this. You were made to do this, Casey.
That's what it feels like. Yes.
Affirming.
Yeah, very affirming.
But you can think about this as skills that you possess, ways that you approach a new problem, tools that you know how to use, materials that you're familiar with. Any of these things can be a leg up in this hobby that you have and maybe somebody doesn't have.
Yeah.
Carpentry. I watch our friend Jeremy at Black Magic Craft, and sometimes he'll have a video where he's making a table, or he's making a diorama or something. And probably the dioramas are the most impressive, where he says, okay, I'm gonna frame up this diorama. I'm gonna make an MDF box for this diorama and paint it black and get out he's got his table saw, and he makes sure that things are flush, square, and plumb. Right. I don't know if those are correct, but Jeremy very much knows if those are correct.
those are correct terms.
those are real words. I know that.
Those are definitely words. I do believe those are all correct. Yes.
I have vague memories of 8th grade. We had a woodshop class, and I definitely used a table saw then.
Okay.
And I've used a miter saw since then. I can cut decent lengths of wood, sort of, but cutting like a 2D sheet of wood, man, Jeremy can make that flush, plumb, and square, no problem. And they can just like build up a little box that's plumb and square and doesn't slant weird to one side, and 90-degree angles. Then it paints it black, and it looks like an awesome frame to diorama. And
he talks about a lot of like the different types of materials, glues and foams and all sorts of stuff that he uses, because it's like, well, I know how this works. I know how these things react, different kinds of epoxies that he's used thousands of times, right?
Right.
You know, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, coming from a just straight construction background, there's so many different kinds of materials that you can use to make tiny versions of those things. You know, like, I can build a house. I can build a tiny house too. Like, yeah, that's sweet. Like, it all applies. It's really cool. I wish that I had done more carpentry. Like, I know some stuff, but that, you know, I see the stuff that he does specifically, and it's like, man, like, yeah, there's a lot of materials I've never heard of.
Sure.
All sorts of crazy stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the example of adhesive, you know, if you're gluing a couple of pieces of styrofoam together, or if you're gluing some cork down to a plastic base, or what have you, you know, Jeremy's got his caulking gun, and he goes down the aisle at the hardware store, and he knows which caulk he's going to put in that gun, and just loads up with the right one, and gets a best value, best performance adhesive for the task.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta know which adhesive to put in your caulking gun. Yeah.
Don't do that, Casey.
No, some of them expand, some of them don't. Come on. I'm not even trying to make that joke. Don't make the obvious joke, Brent. Come on.
All right, we'll let it slide, but yeah, maybe you had photography as a hobby at one point, or you know, you're getting really into TikTok. That's relevant. That's relevant. Yeah.
Technically. Yeah.
But you know, I think the example of being a chef or enjoying cooking, I think that's a really good example too, because there are so many materials, but also then, you know, knife skills and all of that. There's anything with hand-eye coordination, all of that is transferable in some way or another.
Yeah. I think if you were the kind of kid that grew up building complex Lego kits, this hobby is very much like right in the wheelhouse, right? Like doing conversions, scratch building, kit bashing, all of it. Definitely plays off of like that old school, like imagination Lego, all of the things, building all the pieces, finding all the right things to go together.
Yeah, when you are finally done with Minecraft, come on over, hang out with Brent and Casey. We got something to show you.
Yeah. It's a good call. Probably if you're gonna sink your time into anything, make it something tangible, something real.
Yeah. I don't even know what to call that. The skill of 3D visualization, or
well, these days 3D sculpting is kind of huge.
Well,
that
that's
goes straight into
that's
3D
a
printing.
whole other thing. Yeah.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe not spend more time in Minecraft and 3D print your whole world. Like, you can probably do it. Actually, that is a huge skill for a lot of people these days. Like, knowing how to sculpt 3-dimensionally, you know, on a computer, it's such a leg up right now because 3D printers are such a huge thing. Like, I wish that I still was able to do something like that. I actually took a 3D class, a Lightwave 3D class for a year in college. Did some really cool stuff. Can't remember any of it. It's the only thing that I didn't continue to do because there was like literally no reason to do it. You know? Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you know, if you have been in even, you know, closer associated hobbies of Gundam or model ships or what have you, model airplanes,
sure.
Like that's a lot
Scale
of transferable
modeling
stuff there. Mm-hmm. That's almost too close. That's too easy though.
Too easy, maybe, right?
Too easy, yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, like familiarity with kitchen supplies, familiarity with wood shops, you know, electronics. Like if you can work a soldering iron, you can probably like do some tiny welds on like pretty cool little frameworks.
Well, that leads into all of the LEDs that you can do within these models that I wish I could do. And like I probably could if I sat down, but like it looks difficult, right? But it's like, yeah, if you've done electronics in the past, it's probably easily transferable into like, yes, I'm going to put LEDs in these models and make them look awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Of course, if you know how to use like an actual welding device, you can make some really cool tools and rigs and jigs and maybe even terrain and stuff for yourself.
Oh, that'd be fun.
And maybe this is a little more like material oriented, but depending where you work and what your job is, the trash at your job might be awesome. Like if you make widgets that can be repainted into bunkers, like that's pay dirt right there.
Right.
The trash at some of the jobs I used to work at is amazing. The last place I was at did like a scientific poster presentation, and all of the posters were printed on foam board, and I just took home like a stack of foam board at the end of one of those presentations.
You make all the little houses and walls.
I'm gonna rip off all of those like weird experimental detail sections and just have that sweet 1/4-inch foam left over. And oh yeah,
that's so good.
So many tiny houses. Absolutely.
That's something to think about too. Like maybe it's a little bit beyond transferable skills, but like how is the job that you're doing, or how is your daily whatever you're doing? How can that be incorporated into your hobby? So like you're saying, if you're in a place where like, yeah, there's trash at your work, even if you're not the one that's supposed to take it out, right? If you're just there and you see it, it's like, well, that's gonna be garbage. That foam core, that's pretty expensive when you start adding that up, right? Like they all had to go out to the Office Depots and they paid too much for it, to print out their boards or whatever. That's a complete score for you. Or maybe you're retired and you just take a walk every day around the block. Well, take your Tupperware. Go find different things for basing materials or something, Take pictures of rusty bumpers for like, I don't know, like just inspiration. Like there's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about that for sure. I mean, near me, I'm near the ocean, so I know where I can go to get tiny shells and larger shells. Where I'm at, just the geology of the place, there's a particular type of rock, phyllite, whatever. It's got great texture to it. There's the way it fragments, it's got great texture to it, and you'll see it on a lot of my bases. But, I know Neil, Real Terrain Hobbies, he's got a special kind of bush that grows near him that makes incredible tiny trees. And he was super excited when he was out for a walk and he found one of these dead bushes that he just mined for
I think I saw
forests
that
worth
particular
of tiny trees.
Episode, yes.
I can't remember. There's a couple types of like plants and lichen that are like gold in this hobby, and that people get really excited when they get a source for.
What is it? Like in Australia, there's that certain kind of it's like a certain kind of bush that breaks off in like almost like broccoli chunks. So there's like a long stem and then this like plume on top that everybody makes trees out of. I guess sagebrush is supposed to be pretty good. Some parts of sagebrush. I have a lot of that around here. I've never really found a good use for it, but maybe I'm looking at the wrong kind of stuff. I don't know.
Right. And again, if you're good with nature stuff, or if you can tell one plant from another, you might have a leg up in this sort of thing.
Right.
It is crazy how many skills and how much creativity can go into this hobby, and how much of the stuff you already know can be twisted into a useful way for painting minis, basing minis, making dioramas, and
yeah. Well, like I said, it's a weird kind of thing of how many different kinds of skills and just walks of life end up being super useful for this hobby. It's fascinating. Yeah.
Sure. And there's a lot lot of programmers and stuff, and maybe they're not doing a lot of art in their daily life, but there's like organization, and there's certain like thought patterns that probably help, and a way of tackling new problems, and yeah,
painting a whole army, getting it done.
Getting that system.
Yeah.
It is always interesting, both in the YouTube side of things and in just your average hobbyist who does not have a YouTube channel. Like what?
Right.
There are a lot of skills that go into this, and so many of them are transferable. So anytime you meet somebody who's hesitant to take the first step, just remind them that they've already got a lot of what they need.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Everybody finger painted as a child. Okay, go ahead and say it, Casey. Yeah.
The most important ingredient is to paint bravely.
Wonderful delivery. Thank you.
I had to.
You did it. You did it. We did it.
We did it. Yeah.
And we're sorry.
I'm not sorry.
You knew it was coming.
Yeah, a little bit.
I watched your most recent video, Casey, and I saw like paint bravely, like scroll across the screen.
I did. I totally did. I was just trying to inject it into, little things that I do here and there.
Mm-hmm.
That way, people get it. They know. And if they don't, then they wonder. And then they go to the comments, and then they know. Yeah.
That's right.
It's good
That's
stuff.
that's how we bring new people in.
Right, by not telling them anything.
Well, we say paint bravely a lot, and that sinks in.
Yeah.
It burns in.
That's true. That's very true.
Mm-hmm. There's also the subsect of woodworkers who make those really nice plinths. Orthober Studios, who just goes out and finds like crazy chunks of hardwood and puts it on the circular router.
It's a lathe. Right.
Wood chipper, and you see, these are skills I do not have, but some folks do. They just they do some wood turning, wood churning, wood burning, and you got your display plinth. It just comes right out of there. If you know what you're doing.
Well, that's true, because you can actually hurt yourself pretty bad with stuff like that. But I would suggest that maybe next time that you're in like a Hobby Lobby or a Michael's or something, go check out some of the aisles that you're not necessarily familiar with, specifically like clay and woodworking, because there are a lot of things in those aisles that like you will look at and go, I could actually use that. Like there are some useful things in those aisles. Like I haven't used it yet, but I did buy like a wood burning pen. Don't know what it's going to be for, but I know it's going to be useful someday. And I'm going to go, I have to get that out. Yeah. There's also the super important, not to be missed foam cutter, like hot wire foam cutter that's in some of those aisles. So if you don't have one of those, you should just get one, because it makes terrain and all the other things just stupid, easy, and fun. Yeah, it's necessary.
I still need to try that one, but
it's good stuff.
Yeah, there's been times when I'm wandering around either the craft store or more commonly the hardware store, and someone asks like, you need help finding anything? And no. But like what I'm walking around for is just looking for inspiration, looking for ideas.
Yeah.
Looking for other ways to use tools that people generally don't use in this hobby, or items that people generally don't use in this hobby. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. We got down to look through other people's trash is a skill. Like, is there anything darker or deeper than that to pull from?
I think that is a skill, though.
I mean, it is. Like, you're talking about the foam core thing. Like, that's totally applicable,
Right. And there's also been times when I'm at the beach filling up my Tupperware, and I do need to stare somebody in the eye, Like,
yeah, I got a tweet the other day asking how I get my basing material, or like what do I do to make my basing materials? And of course, the simple answer is I went to a beach and I scooped a scoop of sand, and that has all sorts of stuff in it. And that's what I put on my bases.
Okay. So actually, in real life, I know a couple like geology majors.
Sure.
And I bet those people are real good at finding sand with different or rocks, pebbles, stones with different fragmentation patterns, different like, crystal lattice structures. So they have different shapes, and they dry brush up differently.
Oh, that's a good thought, actually.
Yeah, if there are any geologists out there,
I know one. I know a geologist.
You better find your geologist friend and go out hiking and find some good stuff.
Okay.
What do you think
dude
about
is an
it?
insane hiker. He's the kind of hiker that he goes out on jobs. Like he went out on a job, fell off of like a small, like 2-foot little like ridge, broke his leg in like 4 or 5 different places, and then was stranded overnight and had to be like lifted out. They had emergency rescue. They almost didn't find him. It was a whole thing. But I could ask him.
I hope he's okay.
Oh, he's fine now. He made it out. Like, it was amazing. But yeah, I could probably shoot him.
See what he's up to. Yeah.
Like, hey man, like a long time. You know any rocks that if I painted in this specific fashion would look cool?
Yeah. Look, I've gotten really interested in rocks. Painting rocks.
You know, in another life, I almost was a geologist. Almost went down that path.
And perhaps you may yet again someday. Yeah.
You never know. Like I was the kid with the rock collection. You know, I still have a board of rocks. I wonder if I could find that somewhere, like at my parents' house.
Oh yeah, the
probably
cardboard
do a dry
box
brush
with
test.
rocks glued inside.
100%, yes. Yeah. Like I could probably do a dry brush test on those rocks and figure out like what's common to the region and go find stuff. Like there's this really cool place that I don't live that far away from called Crystal Peak, and you go up there like in the summer, and you dig for actual crystals, like they're fully formed crystals, and you can find really big ones, a lot of small ones, but like perfect for alien bases, any kind of terrain.
Yeah.
I mean, like crystals, like chunks.
Oh yeah, get some amethyst or something in there. Maybe some big garnets. Yeah.
So you know, geology, it rocks.
Nope. No.
I had to. I'm sorry. I had
Look,
to.
well, you were making terrible jokes. My mind is racing. I'm trying to think, like, what can a bird watcher contribute? I mean, they can probably paint a mean bird. Probably get some sweet
color combinations.
Yeah, color combinations from the North American wood thrush. Probably perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
Brown, and that's what all your browns are for right there.
Actually, it occurs to me one of the 40K Badcast guys actually is a bird watcher, like a bird lover. I think they just paint all of their Space Marines black and highlight them up, but probably
seems fine.
Probably if they cared about interesting paint schemes, they could.
That's the other thing, yeah. You'd have to care
bird
about that.
Color combos,
right? Well, there's a lot of times moth wings, those kind of things, butterfly wings come up pretty often.
Yeah.
So like that's something that weirdly in this hobby comes up quite often. Bugs, lizards, lizard skin. We paint dragons. We paint all sorts of stuff. Like if you're painting a Seraphim army, like you are looking at freaking lizards. You are looking at as many different kinds of lizards as you possibly can.
Oh, yes, you are. Yeah.
So yeah, that's
or
a thing.
A dragon. Yeah.
Anything with scales.
Well, now I'm thinking back to a memory of, I used to work at a tropical fish store.
Right.
And this overlapped somewhat with me being interested in Warhammer as a young man. And something that happens is just sometimes you get a fish that jumps out and you'll find it a month later behind the tank, just a fish chip, we call them. And sometimes they're pretty well preserved. Like they mummify themselves in like a perfect way. Yeah. And I remember I actually took one of them. It was can't remember what it's called. Rope fish? I don't know if that's the term.
Why? Because he
kind of looks like an
himself?
eel. It's a long, thin fish. And it just looked like a tiny snake. And I think I actually varnished it.
Really?
But anyway, the insect people, you could actually get like an insect person would be able to find like the right variety of cricket to varnish up to base some tyranids with or something. I don't know.
There you go. Yeah.
Maybe we might be getting into like really sick territory here.
We are bordering on taxidermy, and I don't want to go down that road.
Oh, the taxidermy people, they've got contributions to make.
Well, because that's straight up modeling if you really get down to it. Like, it is.
It's actually
You're putting skin over a bottle. Like, there are so many things in that hobby, if you want to call it that transfer. Mm-hmm.
They've got a box of googly eyes somewhere in the back that can
100%
start making those pox walkers like Guy did for sure.
Yeah, there you go. Oh man. Well, I mean, okay, to be fair, we did stretch that a little bit more than I thought we were going to be able to.
No problem. That's what we do here.
That is true.
Got to go through our list of hobbies. What can four-wheeling teach us about painting miniatures?
Okay.
Slow down to see them rocks.
Well, yeah. So geology right off the bat, right? Okay. Tire pressure right there. You got your airbrushing.
Okay, you came loaded. You're ready for this.
I got you, man. Good. Like, yeah, gas mixture, because if you're running a 2-stroke engine, you gotta do an oil to gas ratio. You gotta know ratios. Okay, mathematics, son.
Basic mathematics, okay.
It's very basic, yes. It's usually written on the side of a thing. You just pour it, yeah. Yeah. So, I can't think. Good lighting, maybe. Like if you ride at night. Lumens.
That's actually fair, though. Like lighting is a whole different thing. And from where I'm sitting right now, I have a structural aluminum framework over me
there you go.
With lots of lights. So if
that
you are
even
really
knew
into
how to build that or what to get.
Yeah.
There you go.
But Yep. So if you have any skills of building anything really, you can increase the engineering stats of your workstation, crank that hobby desk level up a couple of notches, at least one.
Well, would it be like an adjacent stat to your hobby level? It'd be engineering stats of like, because like I can do bases, I don't do terrain very well. So my engineering stats aren't super high, you know what I'm saying, on my list. But my hobby desk level's pretty high.
We're gonna develop a whole like RPG stat system for hobbyists.
The plan, yes. Yes.
Your starting equipment and your dexterity, stability.
Well,
intellect,
yeah, because there's that shake, right? Like if you haven't done it.
Yeah, you got your starting skills. Oh man, this is gonna be stupid. There's no way to monetize this, but we could absolutely make a character sheet.
Yes, we have to make the character sheet.
Make a character sheet, and then it just turns into this stupid meme for like a couple of days on Twitter of people filling out their hobbyist character sheet. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would get so old so fast, but you know what you have to do.
Someone has to do it.
You have to do this before this podcast episode goes up.
Oh my god, I don't think I could. Okay. If
do you know how to
volunteer
to format PDFs? I do not.
Okay, yes, I do, because I did take graphic
all
design
been leading
courses,
up to this.
And there are formatting for
fulfill
PDFs
your destiny, Casey.
That's like your basic production designer kind of job there. I just I'm not gonna do that.
Look, we'll have to have an argument about what the core stats for a mini painter are. But
I mean, I'm not necessarily ready, but I'm willing to have that talk.
Yeah.
And maybe that should be our next episode, but
creativity, stamina, precision?
Yeah, because eyeballs, right? Like if you can't paint a good eye, you gotta practice that precision. The pupils are way over.
We can get it up to the standard 4 to 6 stats pretty easily, I think.
I think scientifically we need to go about this of looking at the actual like character sheet and working backwards.
Okay.
Figuring out what to change to fill in those blanks.
For the record, we did not do that. Just in case any Wizards of the Coast people are tuning in here, we did not do that. We did not reverse engineer your product for our own.
No, but every other RPG did, so take that.
Yeah, we're original, though.
And on that note, thank you again for joining us on another episode of Paint Bravely. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, subscribing to the YouTube channel, and sharing this message with your hobby friends. And as always, we appreciate each and every one of you for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
Stay footloose, people.